Hey, what's going on, beautiful people? Wanted to go through the uh, corporate reports that I'm getting, some of the information, and I've tried to share this. I know I shared some of it with Angry and Hudson and a few other folks. I can't remember off the top of my head. For the record, all of us are constantly Catskills, My Mother Spark. I think Vision was in one of those chains. We're always chatting in the background, kind of trading info. Um, Mad Chat and I usually trade memes because that's fun. But we're also slightly both crazy people, so that makes it more fun. But in any case, if I didn't mention you, but you're one of those folks that I do collaborate with, I apologize. I'm trying to compute everything in my head. So this is some releases from the State Department, the Overseas Council, and a compilation, like kind of like a, how would I say, a curated compilation of things of interest for corporations from various private sector groups as well. So there are a few topics here. I'll try to keep it quick. So U.S. government charter flights and ships. U.S. citizens who wish to depart with U.S. government assistance must express their interest via the crisis intake form. And it gives a website. This is on the State Department. So you have to go there. And when you open up the State Department website, you're going to see that big red link. You should be able to do it both on a phone and on a computer, depending on what you have available to you. Do not fill out this form if you've already completed it. Your local embassy will have your information, and duplicate requests will confuse the system, right? Because now they think there are two of you. So from Israel, there will be flight departures from Ben Gurion International Airport, and they give a schedule. So go check the website if you are in Israel, or if you are in some U.S. citizens seeking to depart have been successful in departing the West Bank and Israel via Jordan. And make sure you have your passport and your IDs with you. If you're U.S., Canadian, or European, you're not involved in this stuff. Or even if you're from one of the Arabic nations like Saudi, Qatar, Yemen, you should be able to go through Jordan. I would recommend, if you are trying to get out, don't go into Lebanon from Israel or vice versa, because there's a Hamas IDF fighting zone in between them. And unless you can sneak through safely, you could get caught in a crossfire, because again, the two sides don't know who's who. They see a vehicle unmarked approaching them. I know the IDF will immediately think car bomb, and they'll put a 50 cal on you. Don't do it. Go through Jordan. You will be detained, by the way. You'll likely be detained, but the Jordanians and the U.S. do have a pretty decent relationship. If you lose your passport, I would recommend take a photograph of your passport and keep it on your phone or on your iPad, or have a hard copy like this. So in the event you get caught at the border and for some reason you've lost your passport, you can at least say, look, I'm a U.S. citizen. I lost my passport. You're going to get detained. But at least they can make a copy of it, call the embassy and say, hey, this knucklehead with passport number 12345 is here. And they'll probably they'll put you in a holding cell for a while, which is a pain in the ass, but at least you're out of the fighting zone if you're trying to flee. Gaza, military conflict between Israel and Hamas is ongoing, no duh. Making departure options for U.S. citizens is very complex. The embassy is working on options. So right now, all the options are: fill out a crisis intake form, tell them where the hell you are, have your docs with you, make a copy, either physical copy or a photocopy with your phone or other device. So in case you lose your passport, you at least have something to fall back on. The State Department anticipates the situation in the Rafah crossing, which is toward Egypt, will remain fluid. Now, Egypt's a friend of America, but you're going to get detained there if you're there. Same for you Canadian folks who may be in that country. As of today's stats, 1,400 people killed in Israel. Gaza, as of the time of this report, 7,000 and 18,000 wounded. There's 1,000 killed in Israel with almost 6,000 wounded, plus hostages. And the IDF has said that they've killed over 1,500 Hamas militants that got trapped in Israel when the IDF came back in vengeance and cut them off from retreat. But they've been chasing them around the country, so there are still Hamas agents that they suspect in Israel. I honestly think there's Hamas agents or other bad players all over the freaking West, but that's a whole nother question. Update, Green Line in Israel, rocket barrages continue and sirens blare, including Tel Aviv, Rishon, Lizion, Bat Yam, Givatim, Ramat Gan, Holon, and other areas. 7 were slightly injured as a result of an IDF drone falling on the balcony. So the IDF drone failed, the engine failed, and it crashed into someone's balcony and hurt 7 people. Hamas has launched over 7,000 rockets since October 7th, with at least 2,000 launched on the day of the attack. So 7, 8, 9,000, 10,000 rockets. 11 have died from the rocket attacks, with most projectiles being destroyed by the Iron Dome, which is now reinforced and fully operational. Going toward the Israel-Lebanon border, northern Israel continues to experience sporadic rocket and missile attacks. I've also heard elsewhere of firefights between the IDF and Hezbollah. The Israeli Prime Minister threatened Hezbollah if they participate in this conflict in a significant way. Violence in Lebanon, more than 20,000 people have been displaced. So that's a shit show. West Bank, which will be on the west side of Israel. West Bank continues to have sporadic clashes in the refugee camps and the seam lines between the Green Line, Israel, and the West Bank. IDF has been targeting militants. Israel used thousands of troops to cordon off Palestinian villages and establish roadblocks. 105 Palestinians have been killed and 1,900 injured in the West Bank since October 7th. 1,000 have been arrested. 600 of those turned out to be on the Hamas member list and were detained. Gaza, today IDF soldiers briefly conducted ground attacks. As of the printing of this, which is now dated because we all know they've gone in with a larger scale incident. So the whole area, if you're in Israel, Lebanon, West Bank, anywhere, probably your best bet is to go to Jordan or Egypt. If you can get a commuter flight, a short-range flight, you can hop to Cyprus. Remember, Cyprus right now has a lot of North African immigrants in it, and they're being detained. So if you show up and they don't expect you and you don't have a visa, you're showing up to flee the war, you're probably going to be considered a refugee until they figure out who you are. So keep your paperwork close to you, keep a copy in your bag. It's just, it's not good. Hostage situation. Israel was reportedly open to delaying further ground incursions to provide space for more discussions. Israel's trying to find a negotiating option. There's been talk about prisoner release versus hostage release. This is a very, a lot of people get angry at Hamas. This is a very ancient method of war. The Europeans did it during the ancient wars. So did the Romans. So did the Greeks. So did the Ottomans. You take prisoners and then you negotiate. This is not a new thing. Actually, from a tactical standpoint, it's kind of smart because it forces Israel to be a little hesitant on their attack. On the flip side, it pisses people off and it can cause more problems. Anyway, they go into the embassies. So Israel, the U.S. Embassy is now authorized departure. It's the level before an ordered mandatory departure. So employees, family members, any expats can leave the country. Lebanon is not ordered, but it is voluntary for members of U.S. government employees, companies, et cetera, et cetera. Most of the larger companies will have contract help that will come and retrieve employees, right? So all the employees go to a designated place and they'll helo in and retrieve you with a security team. Something I've actually have experience in. So these things happen. So if you're working for a corporation and you're out there, by now you should have already gotten your orders. And if you don't, or if you've been cut off, try to get to the nearest embassy, even in Lebanon. And Iraq has a travel advisory due to issues going on, especially the attacks on our bases. So right now, the whole Middle East, North Africa region is an absolute mess. So it's important, guys, to pay attention to what's going on in the specific areas. Okay, so land, border, and air travel, Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv, commercial flights are still available, but limited. If you're a corporate or government worker, you may have other options with your company or with the military. I'm pretty confident the Air Force is probably bringing people in and out, be the Air Force or the Navy. So probably a good thing to keep in your back pocket. Now let me see if I can find the number. So give me a second here, folks. I left my glasses in the other room and brilliantly decided to, okay, here we go. So I'll leave you guys at the end of this. To reach by phone, if you cannot get online and do the crisis intake form for Israel, Lebanon, West Bank, Gaza, to get you either out of the country or to Egypt or Jordan, you can email the U.S. Embassy's citizen services at the various embassies. If you can't do that, State Department Consular Affairs is 1-833-890-9595. Again, it is 1-833-890-9595. That's the toll-free number. If you're in Israel, the State Department recommended number is 03-519-7426. Again, if you're an Israeli citizen, if you're in Israel but you're a U.S. citizen trying to get out and you cannot, the local number is 03-519-7426. If you are in Lebanon, which is usually the corporations and the U.S. employees, the government folks like the State Department and embassy folks, that local number 961-4-543-600. Again, Lebanon, if you're trying to get out of country, 961-4-543-600. I think that's about it. Otherwise, U.S. citizens, State Department form. Now, Canadian citizens probably have I couldn't find a good source for the Canadian stuff. They probably have a similar setup. If you are from Canada or Europe and you cannot reach your council, you can probably call the U.S. Embassy, especially if you're Canadian, and see if the U.S. you can piggyback on a U.S. flight, because I know the U.S. and Canada have worked together quite a bit when this kind of stuff happens. Now, Mexico has its own flight. They actually chartered the Aeromexico flights to go and pick up all the Mexican citizens, including the engineers and business people and vacationers and whoever else was there. So Mexico's got theirs set. But again, as a U.S. citizen, you could possibly piggyback on Mexico, basically North America, Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. If you can't get to your consul, you may be able to piggyback with one of those other countries and at least get to North America. And then you're going to have to figure out how to get like from Mexico to, Dallas or wherever you live. So, but folks, keep those options open. Go to the State Department website if you have friends or family, and maybe write down these numbers. If you're in that country or you have to go anywhere in that area, I'd recommend having that toll-free number for the U.S. Embassy, because it should work pretty much like if you're in Turkey or something, you can call from there. Folks, this is a very quickly evolving situation, and a lot of travelers, and I mean, I appreciate it because of the amount I've traveled in my career. Even if you prep, even if you have EDC, even if you have, an emergency bag, you can't always bring what you want in an airplane to another country that I would have in my truck in Texas, right? That's a totally different situation. Have those numbers and be prepared to improvise, okay? So you may not be able to get on that plane where you think you can. You may have to go on ground to another country to get the hell out. I do believe even in Syria, which you will get detained if you come in, but after they do their symbolic phone calls, Latakia and Damascus still have international flights coming out, going to Europe. And I know this because I have friends who are both Israeli and Syrian and Jordanian. I have friends from all over that country, all over that area, which this is why this war breaks my heart, because those people are all interrelated if you think about it. But anyway, I digress. I'm trying to think where else you would go, guys. But anyway, if you have friends or family out there, you know, that's some of the information. As I get other updates, once I'm sure I can share it without getting people in trouble. And again, I summarized some of it because I had some details that I didn't want to put on a video. You know, prepare accordingly. If you don't have to make a trip in that part of the world, I would cancel it, find somewhere else to go, or stay home. But anyway, guys, that's it for this one. Be good, be safe, God bless. God bless all our troops, because they're getting polled, they're getting calls. People are getting recalled, from what I'm understanding. I'm not going to say who or where or why, but it includes people who are close to me in various ways. So this is, this sucks, personally. All we can do, you know, our little online mag, our online community, is make ready as best that we can. And be ready to take on some family members. Like I said, I might be a bug out location for certain family members, right? Another family member may be my bug out location. So we've got this little thing, like wherever the bad shit happens, everyone's going to leave there and come somewhere else. So we're trying to account for that in our preps. I know my kids are now trying to do it. Obviously, I've been doing it longer than they have, but they're like-minded. They get it. They see it. So they're trying to accommodate accordingly. So folks, plan, friends, family, people you trust, people in your circle, not necessarily family, because families can be shits anyway. But the people you know will be there if you need them, or may need you. Start setting up those plans now, just in case. I don't know. It may be nothing, but between the economy, the two wars now, puffery on the other side of the world, we're not even hearing about Taiwan. We have no idea what's going on over there. There could be a lot going on. So folks, pay attention, be smart, be systematic in how you approach it, and be careful, and take care of yourselves. Godspeed, God bless. I'll see you on the next video, and keep out of trouble if you can. Take care.